who are the most starved fan bases in college football? And when I say starved, man, y'all know what I mean. Like, they expect to eat well. They expect to win at a high level. They expect to win national championships. And for the last however many years, that hasn't been the case. So they're sitting there with their belly aching, thinking of the times that were in a lot of cases, and now they're sitting there saying, golly, if we could just get one, man. We could just get one to our name, and we don't even have to get a national championship. If we could just win at a really high level, that would satisfy. College football sickos, this is our time now. Fall camp is here. Want y'all subscribed to the On3 YouTube channel. We cannot miss any more shows, cannot miss any more time together. College football season is here. So go ahead and just double check that you're subscribed to this channel, and we appreciate you so much in advance for being part of this college football sicko community. So I think the most starving fan base right now in all of college football is Nebraska. People say Nebraska, JD, they haven't won big in a long time. I know. They haven't made a bowl game since 2016. You try being a national power, a blue blood of the sport, and now having that be debated because of what they haven't done in the last decade or so. And to make matters worse now, Nebraska has been sitting there and been told by everybody with the microphone, yours truly included, I am part of the problem. Hand up, I'm part of the problem, boys. They've been told, this is the year where you get there. This is the year you make a bowl game. This is the year you maybe just get yourself a little snack, a little something to chew on to hold you over as you start to build. And then every single year it's one score loss, one score loss, one score loss. Like that's enough to drive someone insane, much less hungry. The other thing too with this, Nebraska, this is it. Cornhusker football, this is all you got. This is all you have. And it's beautiful. And I think it dials up the passion, it dials up the buy-in, but there is no NFL team in Nebraska. There's no NBA team, there's no Major League Baseball team to get excited about. You live and die with the Cornhuskers, and more often than not, Cornhusker football. And I love that, but that absolutely ramps up your appetite quite a bit as well when it comes to competing at a high level and winning at a high level. Now here's the good news. You hired a builder. You hired a chef, you hired a hunter and gatherer, that is Matt Rule, that is familiar with a hungry fan base. Maybe not as hungry as Nebraska is right now, but familiar with rebuilds. And I think what he's doing right now is the process. You got to walk before you run. I think they found a way to create some momentum last year, even with all the one-score losses. I think this team realized last year, okay, we can do this. We are capable. They got to buy in and take it from Coach Rule's way to their way, but they can do it. And so I'm excited to watch Nebraska this year. But that fan base, man, golly, it's hard to not want it for them, right? It's hard to not want it for the good people of Lincoln, Nebraska. So Nebraska, starving as they come in the college football fan base world. Another fan base that's starving is Texas A&M. People say, JD, Texas A&M, you said before this whole segment started, this was fan bases that had expected to win at a high level and even won at a high level. A&M hasn't won anything. Why are you telling me they're starving? You know, they're starving because they've been told now that its input equates to output. If you do the right things, you will get the results. If you have the proper things in place to eat greedy, to eat well, then you're going to eat well. And so they said, okay, we'll get you a nice kitchen, all the resources, the facilities. We'll get the ingredients, the top recruiting class in America. We'll get a chef that's won a national title before in Jimbo Fisher. We're about to have an absolute feast out here, boys. Wasn't the case. Fall short. Missed a bowl game one year. That makes you even more hungry. That makes you even more starving. And I'll say this too for A&M and Bryan College Station, period. Like, I got a chance to work out there for a cup of coffee. That whole city, that whole community lives and breathes Aggie football. Take it a step further. That university, man, the allegiance that you have to Texas A&M, if you're a graduate of A&M, when you ask people where they went to school, typically they'll say, oh, I went to Western Kentucky. I went to Baylor. I went to Ohio State. A&M graduates, some might say, I went to A&M, but I think a lot of them will say, I'm an Aggie. Like, they identify themselves personally as where they went to school. Not I went there, it's this is who I am. The class ring, the war hymn at weddings, like it is a very real thing. And so for A&M to be able to get over that hump and to win at a high level with all the things they've put into it, with Mike Elko now running the show, I'll be honest too, I'd love that for them. I don't know if the college football world is ready for A&M to win at a high level, much less a national championship. Mike Elko, the thing that I love about him, now being the head coach there, he gets it. It sounds simplistic, but he gets what A&M is. You go back and watch that press conference when he first got hired, start doing the war hymn, hands over each other's shoulders, rocking back and forth. Mike Elko knew the words. He wasn't lip syncing. He wasn't guessing. He wasn't just smiling sheepishly like, wow, this is crazy. He knew the words. He's been at A&M before. He gets what they're about. And I think he brings exactly what they've been missing. Because you had the input. You had the talent, all those things. I think you still have a certain degree of talent on that roster. Otherwise, the coaches poll wouldn't put you at top 20 preseason. He brings the toughness. He brings the structure. He brings that winning mentality and culture. Brought it over from Duke. I'm excited about that. A&M, though. Make no mistake about it, man. They are starving. Starving as they come out there in College Station. Here's one that's maybe a little bit under the radar. USC. You ever been so hungry you just decide to fall asleep? Like, especially when I was out of school, you get so hungry, you don't have a lot in the fridge. You're like, all right, I guess it's sleep for dinner. You know, it's free. It's the right price point. I won't be hungry anymore. There's kind of two ways to describe USC and their fan base being starving. That's the first one. Being so hungry, you're not interested. And that's kind of the thing with the LA fan base. LA is a city that demands winning. Like, if you don't win at the highest level, you don't give us trophies or primetime events. We got the Lakers. We got LeBron. That's Shohei Ohtani right now. You got the Rams. Like, there's a lot to be excited about, much less the beach is right there. You got Hollywood right there. There's a lot to preoccupy yourself with in LA if USC is not getting it done. So that's the first part of this. There's a certain lack of interest, I believe, from what USC hasn't done. That's the broad LA fan base. Now, the diehards, they haven't gone to sleep. They're still locked in. When you go and see the broadcast copy of the Coliseum and it's not all the way filled up and it's kind of splotchy from like the blimp view, those are the guys that are still there. Those are the gals that are still there. They're the ones that are still locked in. And for them, the reason why it's so maddening is they're like, yo, we've seen it. We've seen what this place can be when you got the right things in place, the right person in place, the right culture in place to win at a high level. Like, I'll throw it back to the USC, Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush days, Lendell White days, Dwayne Jarrett, Keith Rivers, Brian Cushing, Ray Maluga. And we could keep going here. They have had a rich culture of winning at the highest level. And when they do, it's electric. It's special. Like, to have the attention of LA, it's like nothing else. And so the energy that Pete Carroll brought to USC and the confidence, the swagger, USC fans are saying, where's that been? Where's that pride in being a Trojan been? And I think for Lincoln Riley now, making that staff change defensively is exactly what the doctor ordered. Because I'll say this, man, I think you have to have a little bit of that it factor to be the head coach at USC. I don't think it's cut out for everyone. I think Lincoln Riley has that. The way they're attacking on the recruiting trail right now, it's a battle now. You deal out some haymakers, you take some lumps. It is what it is, but like they're going to war. They got NIL ducks in a row right now. Very excited to see what USC is going forward because that fan base now, do not let the broadcast copy of the Coliseum fool you. There's the LA fan base, there's the USC diehards. Both are starving. One's starving and they're chewing on their own sock to try and preoccupy themselves. The others have just gone to sleep. The others are just having sleep for dinner and, hey, we'll come back, we'll wake up whenever we start doing exciting things again. The Caleb Williams Heisman year was kind of a sugar rush, and I love that for them, but they're looking for a little bit more than a Heisman Trophy and a New Year's Six bowl bid. They want to go compete for national championships again, and when they do, it's electric. Notre Dame, they're starving out there too. Notre Dame's like, man, we are one of the most iconic brands in the whole freaking sport. In the whole sport. You think college football, you think Golden Domers, you think Touchdown Jesus, you think Win One for the Gipper, you think Rudy. I think he was offsides, but it is what it is. One of the most iconic brands in college football, and you haven't won a national title since 1988. The difference with Notre Dame, man, there is no conference title to play for. There's nothing there to hang your hat on. It is we win national championships or we work towards it. For those who listen on podcasts, just pounding my fist on the table, or we work towards it. And so for them, it's like, why can't we get over the hump? Marcus Freeman, I believe, is the guy who gets it. And gets it's a funny word. I said it with Mike Elko at A&M. I'll say the same thing about Marcus Freeman. Doesn't have a ton of history at Notre Dame. Didn't play at Notre Dame. But I think for him, you can tell by how he's operating as the head coach there, he understands the expectation. I think he understands the tradition at Notre Dame of what they want to accomplish. And he is attacked in his small amount of time being there, going into year 3 now, in a way that you would want your head coach to attack. That gets it. Like they have continued to push the envelope. Go get a transfer quarterback in Sam Hartman a year ago. You could have gone to the depth chart and tried to figure out who was going to be your guy. Tyler Buckner was coming back. Nope, Sam Hartman, he's our guy. Now, shouts to Tyler Buckner for coming back. I love that. This upcoming season, you could have gone back to the depth chart again. Angeli looked good in the bowl game. CJ Carr's a young buck. Maybe you let them battle it out. Competition, good versus good. Riley Leonard is the best portal quarterback we can get. We're bringing him in. He's going to be our guy. Continuing to challenge everything, not just a t-shirt, real life for them out there in South Bend. Now, Miami is one more team I want to talk about here as a fan base that is starving. And for them, I think I'm not mad, I'm disappointed. Right? Doesn't that just like kind of hurt your soul whenever your parents would tell you that? You're mad to a certain degree about the lack of success in the record. I think you're more disappointed in the brand of football. Because what Miami has been, like they were the bad boys, the enforcers of the college football landscape. They had the swag about themselves, this aura about themselves. Where has that been? Where has the pride in the U been for a minute now? In the 80s, it was there. In the 80s, you were scared to go play against Miami. In the 80s, it was like, man, we are in for an absolute fight tonight. And we better bring our A game. The roster was littered with NFL players. The standard for Miami was, as high as it gets in college football during the 80s. Since then, though, it's been a steady decline. Guys that think they're just entitled to wearing that U logo and, I show up here and things happen because of what that 2001 team did. Because Ed Reed was here. Because Santana Moss was here. You go down the line there of all the great players that have been at Miami. I think with Mario Cristobal now, the thing that I appreciate is, one, he understands what Miami is when they're rolling. So that standard is not lost on him. The other part, too, it's not just Miami, it's the U. Like, it's the expectation of how you go about your business, of how you work, the attitude, the discipline, all those things now that made that previous Miami teams what they were, absolute problems on a Saturday afternoon for you. That's what Mario Cristobal, I believe, the understanding that he brings to the table. I can't wait to watch what they are. I'll just leave it at that. I cannot wait to watch what Miami is and what that fan base will hopefully have their hunger satisfied by, which would be, I think, just fun for college football. Because similar to USC, man, when you have the attention of a major city like Miami at the college football level, there's some electricity there. There's a whole lot of juice there. Couple of honorable mentions for you that did not make our most starved fan bases, but are still, I would imagine, pretty hungry. Penn State, they won a Big Ten title not all that long ago. They still win double-digit games, it feels like, every year, if not every other year. I don't think that they are quite as starving as the fan bases we just mentioned. Still really hungry, though. Curious to see how this 12-team playoff benefits that. For Tennessee, if you had asked me to make this list in 2021, I would have absolutely had them near the top, if not the top, in all of college football. I think they're still super hungry, but I think the 2022 season maybe just is holding them over a little bit. Now, if this year doesn't go as planned and they miss the college football playoff, maybe it's a rediscussion. However, I think when you talk about Tennessee, still very hungry, but a little bit more satisfied than a previous list would have had them at. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.